Hi, and welcome back to Alex Talking. My name is Alex, and I love going to the movies. And 4 days ago, I saw How to Train Your Dragon 2025. This is kind of a big deal. I say only kind of because I did not care that much about it, but it's a big movie. And I got to see it a month early. Shout out to Savannah. They had this showing of it, and I was able to go see it for free too, so that was nice. I wasn't planning on seeing this movie. I haven't seen the original one in quite some time, but I did see it in theaters back when it came out. And this was one of those movies that I loved. I remember getting all the toys for. I was 6 when it came out, 6 or 7, and I remember the 3D working really well in the third act and the snow and everything really being magical. And this is directed by Dean DeBlow, the guy who directed the original trilogy. And because of that, I appreciate that you can tell there is a certain level of craft and care on display that is just nowhere to be found in the Disney live action remakes. To my knowledge, this is Universal's first hand at a live action remake. Not like a live action, cartoon kids movie, but I mean like a straight up, we're following in like what Disney's doing and we're just doing a live action blockbuster version of something that is popular and already existed before. This one being something that's only 14 years old. And that is, obviously, if you don't know, this movie was pretty much only made to advertise Epic Universe and the How to Train Your Dragon world in Orlando. Not like I have secret insider information, it just takes logic to deduce that. And watching it, you know what? It succeeded. I was watching it and I was like, I do want to go meet these dragons. I want to go dap up Toothless and rub his little scaly head in person because I can see this human up there doing it and that looks awesome. But hey, this movie, like I said, it sets out for you to actually leave it thinking this is a pretty good movie. Not just, wow, that was good because I know what that is and I've seen it before. So it's the bare minimum that we ask for and shit like this, but I appreciate that it at least was a solid movie. Gerard Butler and Mason Thames were the two that really stood out in the cast. Mason Thames, I believe is his name, is the one who is in the Black Phone. He's going to be in the Black Phone too. I'm a huge fan of the Black Phone. I thought he was great as Finney in that. He really steps into the big shoes that Jay Baruchel left to play here with Hiccup, and he did great. He knocked out of the park, to be honest. I saw this with a friend who How to Train Your Dragon is her favorite movie, and she thought he was great. Gerard Butler as well really worked for everybody playing the father who he played in the movie originally. Was awesome. Great to see Big Nick anytime you can. My two strangest ones with the casting were Nick Frost. I kept thinking, is that Nick Frost? No, I can't be Nick Frost. If that is Nick Frost, that's his head CGI'd onto someone else's body. Nick Frost is in this as like the weird uncle character, but he looked really strange. I would love to see an image of it. It's just there's none online. But like in my mind's eye, I see it and I'm just like, that was a really weird Nick Frost performance. The CGI is great on the dragons. A lot of it is practical, not the dragons, I wish, but practically shot in the environment, it looks like. Until you get to the third act, then it becomes my biggest issue with it is that maybe you can tell it's an animation director working in live action, but the geography of everything and just the logistics of what's going on stops making sense. And the goals and like the stakes and everything where people are just standing, is unclear and muddled with, CGI. So that was where it really stood out as like, this is not nearly as good, just because I remember the magic of seeing that the first time. The rest of it, I thought, this dragon's pretty cute, this actor is pretty good. There is just one other negative would be, and this was pointed out by the girl who, like I said, is a huge How to Train Your Dragon fan. Her favorite character is Astrid. her character feels very one note, and we all described it much more like a bully in this and less fun. Um, she's not like antagonistic towards him, especially in the third act. I don't mean that. It's just when she does kind of, start to spark something with Hiccup, there's no real feeling of connection or any sort of like actual anything there. That is at least displayed between them chemistry wise, live action. Does not work nearly as well as the characters did in the original, and left me feeling really like flat on those sort of notes. The Hiccup Toothless stuff worked fine. I can't imagine anyone ever choosing to watch this over the animated one. But if you want the live action version of this, if you want like the Harry Potter version of this, it is well made. It looks nice. Like, I have to just shout that out once again. It looks good for the most part. And these Disney ones, like you think about, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Snow White, Lion King, for example, these aren't creatures that have dead expressions on their face, like the eyes on the dragons are very well done to make them feel exactly like you want them to feel, and like they wouldn't in the cartoon, while not feeling hyper realistic or fake. They're not too fake, they're not too real. It strikes a very good balance, and it actually really, really worked, all the moments with the dragons. And after all, what more could you want? You're making a blockbuster of dragons. I would love if they would take this formula, because I think this movie's going to do huge, to be honest. Like, after watching, I got that feeling. I saw it here in Savannah, the kids were in their costumes, they had their toothless plushies. I think this movie's going to be big. I would love for them to kind of give this, and I recommend this for all franchises and all of these stories when they do it, give it the Pirates of the Caribbean treatment. Do something new with it. Just use the same mythology, the same, Vikings and dragons. That's awesome. Do a live action How to Train Your Dragon. Maybe make it Toothless' kid. Just like, Mufasa, the Lion King, could have been okay. That was just actually animated. Because at the end of the day, the way they do those are so off-putting that no one would actually enjoy that. But it could have worked if they made it animated and fixed some stuff. This one, honestly, the fact that it's live action isn't that much of a problem. And I guess that's the biggest compliment I can give it. The fact that it's live action is not a big problem. It is the same exact movie is the issue. That's the biggest issue you face with this movie. For the most part, the character and acting of the ones that need to be great are, and the dragons look great. A lot of the settings look good. It's just the same movie. To the point that, like, the additions, if you wanted to call them that, are like, there's a thing where he gets, like, the flowers of a dandelion and causes a, dragon to sneeze with it. That's literally a 4 or 5 second addition. Like, in a scene. Otherwise, it's very much similar. And I think people are going to enjoy it because it's a good movie. I would give this a 2.5 out of 5. Just because it's never a movie that I ever go back to rewatch. Just because, I didn't give my full backstory. By the time the second one came out, I quit watching, children's movies. I was, 10 or 11 at that point. I didn't see the second one until 2019 when the third one was coming out. And then I ended up not liking the second one at all. So I never watched the third one until recently after this remake. My friend, who I said really loves the original movies, she was like, "You've never seen the third one?" So we came back here and we watched it after the remake. And I honestly enjoyed the third one way more than this. Not that would be a big surprise by any means, but I thought it was a lot better. And I heard they already greenlit the second one. I think the third one and the second one will work a lot better in live action. They will work better as blockbusters with these dragons. Because the very, I was going to say the very end of this movie is, spoilers. But, if you've seen this movie, you know. If you haven't, click off the video, I guess, because there's going to be spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon. But if you've seen the original, you've seen this new movie, I'm not going to tell you why you're watching this. I appreciate that you are. I was going to say, if you're watching this, you already know what happens, but I don't know if you would. So if you haven't seen it, click off. But at the end, when they're all flying on dragons, it's awesome. And you're like, well, or like not during the third act battle, but like the third act final scene, like whenever they're all on the island chilling on dragons, that's when it's at its best. So you know the sequel is going to be better. And yeah, I look forward. I think a lot of kids and stuff are going to enjoy this. So good for them. They put effort into it. They made a good movie, and it's solid. I definitely didn't hate myself watching it. That's not what I can say for very many of these live action Disney remakes. Let's hope Lilo and Stitch is better. I'll be seeing that on Friday. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you've seen it, when you see it, if you're looking forward to it, what you've seen recently that you like, whatever you want to do. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.